Hello, we're back with this Masco again. So I've skipped along with this project because there was so many things with this amp and I've just waded in to get it done. And now we're just going to have a look through it at everything I've done. So first thing you can notice is I've changed the filament wires again. Wasn't happy with those filament wires. Some of the original ones were left and they were all down underneath all of this. The wire I'd used I just couldn't get tight enough, so I just outed it. So these are really tightly wound now, and we've got them up in the air, trying to keep them away from all the DC components under there. It's never easy in this point to point set out. And what else have I done? So I've made some changes as well. So we've got the phase inverter sorted out. We've got a cap on there across the plates for the oscillation. Now I've changed some of the values on this second channel because we I don't know if I'd show that on the earlier clips of the video, but this was squealing when you turned it up flat out. It was feeding back. So I've reduced the cathode resistors from, I think we had 1.5k on the first stage. That's now 3.3k, and we had 2.2 on the second stage, and that's now 3.3k, and that's got rid of that, just tamed that a little bit. The biggest thing I've done on this is remove the 6J7 that was after this third stage set out that we've got from these three here, because we got two channels going into one half of this 6SL7, and then we got the 6J7 going into the other half, and then the 6J7 went straight to the phase inverter, but the other two channels went through the tone stack and through this 6J7. Just too much gain, so I've removed that. What else have I done? Added a bypass capacitor to the 6J7, the cathode bypass capacitor, and that's just beefed that up nicely, but it's not to the point where it's massively overdriving, because of course we're a gain stage light on this, because this is a pentode, remember, so technically there's only two stages, the one that it's running into off the 6SL7 and obviously the tube itself. What else have we done? Well, quite a lot of work there done. We've been this amp is noisy, and it's not as noisy now, but I was chasing a lot of noise with this amp, and you know, with these point to points, it's a common problem. It's not ideal. In an ideal world, having to virtually rewire this amp, in fact I've changed every component in it, you'd have said, well, why not just put a turret board in? Well, the problem with that is, and I would have loved to have done, is look at the way the tubes come across here and then back out and across here. So you can't get a board in, because you'd have at least one of the tubes, if not two, under the board, and by the time you'd raised it enough, you'd be, you know, the full width of the chassis, and it just wouldn't be practical to do that. So, you know, this is what it is. It's a point to point amp. So, oh, and another thing that I have done, so remember on this amp, if you watch the earlier parts, we had two primary feeds on this, and I think one was 117 volts, and I think the other one was 125, if I remember. I can't remember now, because we removed the whole fuse thing off the back there. Remember, it had that like door on there, which was just dangerous. But what I've done, I've dropped it down to the lower primary, so we've got less HT volts, because we've got a hell of a lot of HT volts on here, and that has made this amp not as quite as loud, and that's another problem with this amp. It was blisteringly loud, and it doesn't really need to be. In fact, amps really don't need to be nowadays. You know, I did a gig on Saturday night, and I do take two amps out with me, but most of the time I used a 15-watt amp. So I don't, you know, this, and you know, people mic things up through PAs. That was backline for me as well, but most people mic things up through the PA and things. So really, and the customer's probably going to be using this at home most of the time, so we don't really need that extra volume. The tubes are now drawing slightly less current, it's much kinder on the amp, and also it means that this solid state rectifier can be used, because this was pushing the HT volts up another 25 volts, and I think we're up to something like 420 odd volts on there, but it was pushing the plate voltage up on this 6SL7 phase inverter. And yeah, I could alter the drop-in resistor and things, but now with this in, we just get 300 volts on that plate, which is the max, and we've only got about 200 and, well, we've got 25 volts less than that, so 275 when you've got the normal rectifier tube in. The bias with the rectifier tube in is somewhere around about 21 watts, and it's about 22, 23 with this in, so you can bias the tubes a little bit hotter. This amp's cathode biased, and those tubes in there will stand that, those 6L6s will stand that, so there's no issues there. What else? Anything else that we've done? Trying to think now. We've changed, I think I mentioned that on the last clip, we changed that drop-in resistor to 10k there, and I think it was 6.8 before, so we've changed that. Or was it 4.7 and that one was 6.8, so I've changed both of them. That's now 10k, that's 3.9k, so that was 6.8, now 3.9. The tone stacks added, the tone control on the first channel is here, and we've added that in, and this is one of those, and you might have seen these on a video, these radio spares caps, that capacitors that are found. These are 5 nanofarad. They're ideal for these tone stacks. There's no voltage on them, and these tested these caps, and there was no leakage whatsoever on them, and they are, I think they're radio spares, yeah, RS radio spares. And so I've used those on a few, not got many of those left now, so I've used those on a few projects for these tone controls. So this is the tone control on the channel 1 on the 6J7 channel. And I did try some bright caps. I tried a bright cap on the master volume, but eventually I tried various picofarads on there, 100 picofarad, 200 and 500 picofarad, but I just, in the end, I didn't bother with them, just making the amp glassy, so didn't bother with those. And I think that's about it that I can think of that we've done. Quite a lot of stuff there that we've done. So now what remains with this amp is to have a listen to it. Now I've got a couple of grounds to put on this amp, but I'm not going to film that because who wants to watch that? So basically we're going to ground this front panel with a cable, which is going to come in and go to the ground tab. But we're also, now this amp has a lift on metal lid, and we're also going to put a ground on that as well, because it should be grounded, so we'll put a separate ground on that. You cannot rely on the bolts in this for the ground, and we actually proved that, because when I'd got this loose, because I thought I'd have to take it out yet again, so I left it loose, and I had to actually ground it because we were getting interference with when we was testing it. There's our tone control on the side. Just lean the camera around there, you can see that on there. So yeah, we're going to get this plugged in and we're going to give it a test, a blast as we say. Right, we've got this Masco on the 4v12, and we're just going to go through these channels now and just have a look what we've done. We're on channel 1, mic 1, as it says on there, and this is a clean channel. It does overdrive though if you crank it up, and we'll have a look at that. We've got the tone control on the side there, and we'll have a bit of a listen. you've got a nice warm tone there, and so we can add the treble, the tone control in there. So we've got plenty of scope on that. That's all of it out. That's all of it in. That's about half of it. That's, you can hear that. Let's try it on the neck pickup as well. Top on there. So you can see that I've got quite a nice tone. Now if we, just go back on the bridge pickup, if we start to wind this in, and we go up to about number 6 now, we can just hear that's beginning to break up. So go up to 7. You can hear that starting to get a little. Now I've got a 100 microfarad bypass cap on that stage, and that's rather high, but I thought, well, I'll try it because obviously I can just reduce it. But that has just worked perfect, because these 3 channels, what we need is a contrast between them. We don't want them all the same, it would be pointless. And that's given a really raunchy overdrive, but not to the point where it's, you know, it's Van Halen. It's just got that. And if we whip that up to number 8 now, 9, and now it's just beginning to soften up, but it's still got that punchy bass, which is really what you want for that lower overdrive. You don't want, you know, when you've got really high gain, you want to lose some bass. And now if I put the tone right up, so it is getting quite gain it, and if you just go to number 10, and we back some of the tone off. And as you back some of the tone off, it seems to get, it loses some of the softness, so you get a bit more of a growl. It is quite a growly overdrive, that. guitar, because I use 11s, it's 11 to 48 on this, but we've all been ill in the band, so obviously we've been struggling to sing, so we've all tuned down a semitone. So I've got used to the strings being a bit slacker now with tuning down. I get on this is in concert pitch, and it's I need to build my chops up again. But anyway, enough of that. Let's try channel 2. Now channel 2 is the most aggressive of these channels. Remember channel 3, we put that cold clipper on it. So let's just look at channel 2. This is a monster channel. And this channel is just really an overdrive channel. And that's only on number 6. Oops, that's the bass. That's better. You see, we've got some overdrive in it. If we crank that up to 10. Very bright. We can take that off, take about halfway. Of scope, even the most muddy of guitars. Oh, you can see we've got a real scope on this tone control. a death metal player. I don't have the muscles and tattoos for that. Sadly. But that's a great overdrive tone. How well does this channel clean up? This one doesn't clean up very well. Does a bit. We need a bit more. As we back these volumes down as well, we've got no bright caps on these, so we do lose a bit of top, but there's so much scope on this treble control. As soon as you put bright caps on, everything's bright, you know, so we just add a bit more treble in and we're away. You can see it's still driving there, we're only on number 3, so number 2. So yeah, so that is a drive channel, and that's fine. We've got a clean channel, we've got a drive channel. Most modern amps have that, don't we? So let's go on to channel 3 then. Now this is the one with the cold clipper. And if we just start working his way up, so this is on number 3. And again, getting this channel clean. If you crank the master right up and back this off, you can get. But both of these channels are really designed for overdrive. This one just doesn't have quite as much as channel 2. And it's a bit of a softer tone. Kind of feeling a bit more bass is needed on this one. And the reason for that is, of course, is that there is only one bypass cap on this channel. Obviously the other one's a cold clipper, the other cathode is a cold clipper, so there's no bypass cap on there, so hence we've lost a bit of bass. But again, we've got so much on here, you know, we can add that in as easy. So as Uncle Doug used to say, if you're going to make a tone control, make it so it's got plenty of scope on it, even too much, because you can always back some out. You see now you've got that, we've got a lovely low overdrive there. We can boost that with the bass. Let's go down to number 2. So we go up to number 4 on the master. So we get that Black Crows kind of tone going on there. A bit more top in there. A bit more top. So plenty of scope on this amp. So let's push it up again, number 3. that's quite overdriven. It's not got to that point where you're having to hold the strings. So if you go back into channel 2, you know what I mean, crank channel 2, you're beginning to get that takeoff thing going on. And that's obviously full gain on there. But on, you know, you can let go. So it's not ballistic. Number 6. Take some bass off. So not as bassy a channel as channel 2, and certainly not as channel 1. And again. So 8. It's a beast. 9. Finally 10 flat out on there, and I need to just get a screw in that because the screw's missing. Or it's come loose, whichever. That lovely, clean, tight overdrive. That's my favourite channel of the overdrive channels. Number 3 is. And this thing is loud, too loud for me to turn up in here. But the object of this amp really, you know, is this is going to be used more for home use rather than, you know, gigging. So this, I've kind of really tailored these overdrives for just for lower volume really. So I've got a great tone at a lower level. So there we go. That is the Masco MA25N that I have absolutely super modded. In fact, I've rebuilt this amp because it had been botched up so badly. And bearing in mind these amps are from around 1948, and so the resistors weren't very good in it, to say the least. They were crumbling away, some of them. The values were miles out, and it just got to a point where it was just easier to rebuild this amp. It's been a massive project, and obviously I've been tinkering away at this between the other repairs that are coming in, which obviously I have to do because, you know, I have the shop repairs and one or two others coming in, so I have to kind of do these, you know, in between. So it's took a while to get this done, and what with being ill, my father being ill, and I've been ill about 3 times in, you know, since October. My father being in hospital twice, and I've just got further and further behind. But finally, we've got this done. It is finished. Not running particularly hot. You can put your hand on the top. This has been on for a good while now, and it's running quite nice. And I think dropping that plate voltage, you know, onto that lesser volt primary, I think that was the 117 we dropped it to. I think that was the right thing to do on this amp. Running much cooler now, much better, given the age of these transformers as well. But there we go, finally it's done. We have got the other Masco to do as well, but I'm going to be dropping onto the Stromberg Carlson now, and that will again will be pushed along in between the repairs. But we will be seeing a part 2 of the Stromberg, which we're going to rebuild all the power. Well, I've already started rebuilding the power supply in it, because that's all been botched up as well, as we saw in the previous video of that. So anyway, that'll do it for this one. Enough of me waffling, and I still sound a bit iffy after this virus, that cold thing that I've had. So yeah, so thanks for watching. You all take care, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye for now.